say congratulations to you for staying by up to this point. I know it's not easy. Sincerely, keeping up with this class, it has been a lot of back and forth. We had some breaks in between. We've done a lot of topics in Power Query. I've given you the foundation of dimensional model. We've talked about a lot of concepts in that area. And now this is the second semester of the program, which is DAX made easy, right? I want to so much explain DAX in such a way that is going to be very easy, very, you can understand it in a very easy way, right? In a seamless manner. DAX is not complicated. Just like Follow on Show and some other top guys here used to say that if your data model is perfect and is good, your DAX should not be complicated. And which I've seen personally in my work experience as a data analyst, that your DAX doesn't have to be too complicated. You have to understand the basics of that. You have to understand DAX operators. You have to even understand that DAX is a formula language, right? You have to understand filter context and row context. You have to even understand DAX data types. Those things are very, very important. You have to understand aggregations. You have to understand different DAX functions and their categories. So we are going to talk about a lot of things today. But today we might not really go into us writing DAX expression. But we are going to do today is to give you a very good foundation of what is DAX and different things you need to know about DAX. So let's move ahead. So what is the full meaning of DAX? Full meaning of DAX is data analysis expression, right? Data analysis expression. The D stands for data, the A stands for analysis, and the X stands for expression, right? Now, that is a formula language with functions. For those of you that have been using Excel functions for a while now, I'm sure you are going to pretty understand what I'm saying here. Some of you use VLOOKUP a lot. Some of us use HLOOKUP. If the if function for writing logical statements and those things, right? There's still a lot of functions that we have in Excel that we also have in Power BI, right? But there's still a lot more functions that are embedded or are predefined in the Power BI application that are not inside of Excel, the Excel application, right? Now, one foundational thing to always make sure is that before you start writing your DAX expression, you must ensure that you validate the relationship between your tables, your dimension table, your fact table. You must make sure that you validate those relationships before you start writing your DAX expressions, right? Now, there's a topic I'm going to go to today, which is called referential integrity. Referential integrity. Very nice topic, very wonderful topic. It's going to expand your knowledge a little more for you to know that when we talk about validating, Jude, please, can you switch off your video, please? That when it comes to validating your table relationship, it is important for you to ensure referential integrity. And we are going to dive more into that topic today on referential integrity. Let's go ahead. Now, most of us would think that the formula language called DAX is only used in Power BI, but no, DAX is not only used in Power BI. There's a lot of other applications that we use DAX or that we apply DAX. Now, Power BI is the one that is very popular. That when we say DAX, the next thing that comes to your mind is Power BI for most people, right? The next thing that comes to your mind is Power BI when we talk about DAX. Now, what do we use DAX to do in Power BI? We use DAX to create calculated column, right? I think we are creating a column, an extra column. You're adding a layer on top of what you already have in your data model, right? You are creating a calculated column. We use DAX to create measures, which you all know, and we also use DAX to create calculated table. But it goes more deeper than these three. I know these three are the basics, right? Calculated column, measures, and calculated table. Some of you might wonder, why did I say calculated column, calculated table, and when I got to measures, I didn't say calculated measure. There is no, according to the Microsoft standard, there is nothing like calculated measures, right? So be careful the way you use the terminology. If you feel I'm wrong, you can also confirm it also. If you look at the PL300 documentation, you will see that it is called it is called measures and not calculated measure, right? So calculated column, measures, and calculated table inside of Power BI. Now, we also use DAX in Excel Power Pivots, right? We use DAX to enhance our Excel data model and for advanced calculations, right? We use DAX in Excel Power Pivots to build what advanced calculations. Now, we also use DAX in SQL Server Analysis Services. Let me ask you this question, guys. Is there anybody that have used SSAS before? SSAS Tabular, and we have SSAS Multidimensional, MDX. Is there anyone that has used SSAS before in this class? Just type yes or no in the comment section. Let me just know if you've used it before. Because in this class, we are still going to talk about SSAS. Anybody? Yes or no? Okay. I've seen 2 no's now. 3 no's. Anybody? So nobody has used it before. Wow. Okay. I'm sure Follow should have used it before, but I've seen it in one of his sections before that he thought about it. Okay, let's go ahead. So in SQL Server Analysis Services, we also build what we call tabular model, right? So we also write that in SSAS tabular for building calculations. Now we also have Azure Analysis Services, right? Which is the cloud version of SSAS. Now SSAS is on-prem, right? I hope you all know what we mean by on-prem and cloud, right? Yes or no, please, guys. Do we know? We understand what we call on-prem and cloud.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So Azure Analysis Services,
sir.
AAS, okay, is the cloud version of the SSAS, right? We also use DAX in Azure Analysis Services. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, let's not talk about what we use DAX to do in Power BI in details, right? Now, we use DAX, in Power BI to create measures, right? Our calculations like your total, your average, your percentages. For example, look at what you're saying on my screen. I have total sales is equals to the sum of the sales column inside the sales table. Sorry, the sum of the amount column rather in the sales table. So that expression is referencing both the table and the column inside of the table, right? That is an example of a measure, right? Now, we also use DAX to create calculated columns. Talk about creating measures. Number 2, we use DAX in Power BI to create calculated columns. These are columns that did not come with the data originally, but you created them, right, using DAX, right? So we can use DAX to add new columns to our data model, right? Okay. For example, you have a table called sales, and you have 2 columns, revenue and cost. You are now creating a new column that is minusing revenue from cost, cost from revenue to get profits, right? You are creating an additional column. Now, we also use DAX in Power BI to create calculated table. For example, when you create that your calendar table, sometimes you say calendar, you use calendar auto, you use calendar, sometimes you even use variables, right? So we use DAX to create calculated tables. Look at the example we have on my screen. It said create top customers, right? From the customer table in relation to the sales table. Creating the top 10,000. Customers that are contributing more than 10,000, they are the top customers based on the customer table that we have here. So that is an example of different ways you can create calculated table. Now we also use DAX in Power BI to apply what we call role level security, a very important and interesting topic in Power BI, right? If we want to create what we call role level security, right, we also use DAX to apply our role level security, right? For example, you say region is equals to username, or when you say is equals to user principal name, we are still going to get there. We are still going to get to role security maybe before the end of this our Power BI mentorship class. Now we use DAX in Power BI to do what is called time intelligence. Now, when you hear the word time intelligence, it means we use DAX to create insights in the context of date and time. We use that to understand our data, our trends, right? In the context of date and time. We want to know our performance in terms of quarter, in terms of day, in terms of week, in terms of year, in terms of comparison, same period last year, and all of those different type of time intelligence functions that we can use to get different insights from our data, right? Now, we also use DAX to control filter context. In this class, we are still going to talk about role context and what am I saying, sir? Is it role context or filter context? Role context and filter context. We are still going to go in depth about that topic and see a lot of ways that we do apply um, filter context to our data, right? At least anything that's to do with applying filters, whether at the page level, whether at the visual level, whether you are using calculates to modify to the proper filter context. We are going to talk about all of these things, right? Let's just be attentive. Now, there are different categorizations of DAX functions, right? We have the aggregation functions. Example of that is sum, your average, your mean, max, count, counter, count rules. They are examples of aggregation functions. Now, what we are seeing on my screen is just a sample of these different categorizations that we have, right? Just an example. Now we have time intelligence DAX functions, like your total year to date, your same period last year, your date add, date YTD, parallel period, first date last. I always love to talk about time. Time intelligence is something that is very, very interesting, right? You're going to see how we can modify our expression to give us, different results, right? Using time intelligence DAX function, right? Now we have uh filter functions when it comes to us, applying filters in our DAX expression. We have calculate is a very powerful, in fact, is what we use for what is called context transition. We are still going to go to all of those things, but let's just take it as one time at one at a time. We have filter, we have all, we have all except, all selected, remove filters. These are examples of filter functions, right? We have iterator function. I love this one, very interesting. It saves you time, it saves you energy. You have your sum x, your average x, your max x, min x. We are going to see all of these things by the time by the time we start using related and related table, and all of those things. You will see how the iterator function works by the time we get to talk about role context, right? Okay. We have logical functions like your if, which you already know, you use that in Excel a lot. If, your switch, your and, your all, not, and if error are examples of logical functions. We have text functions like your concatenate, your left, right, mid, search, replace, upper, lower, trim, all of those things. We are going to talk about those functions. And I'll be dishing out a lot of assignments to you guys. I'll be giving you some tasks to do that will make you go and write. And I would advise you something. It's an advice because we are all adults. I cannot force you, you know, against your own will. For those of us that are using ChatGPT to learn DAX, I'm not saying that it's not good, but if you are trying to solve a problem and you are using ChatGPT to learn that, always tell ChatGPT to explain the expression for you. So if it gives you a formula to use, and just copy and paste it without asking for the logic behind a breakdown explanation of that expression, then you are not learning anything. So, so we must be careful. We must understand that itself. ChatGPT is good, AI platform, Copilot, and all they are good to enhance what you already know, the foundation that you already have about DAX. But relying solely 100% on that as a means of learning DAX is not advisable, right? Now we have mathematical functions like your round, ceiling, floor, ABL, which is called absolute, your MOD, and your power. Table functions like values, distinct, related table, add columns, summarize, and select columns. We have relationship functions like related, user relationship, cross filter, lookup value. We have information functions like your is blank, is number, is text, is filtered as one value. So these has brought me to the end of my slide, and I have to go back to the topic I said I was going to show you guys. So let me stop sharing now, and I'm going to share us another slide. Now, let's quickly go into the concept of referential integrity. Before we move ahead, is there any question on introduction to DAX before I go ahead to the topic of referential integrity? Anyone? If you have, you can unmute yourself. If you are not talking, please mute yourself. Okay, I assume there are no questions. Now let's move to the topic referential integrity. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to open our what was it called? I'm coming, guys. Just give me a minute. I want to open our Power BI, the Power BI file we'll be using as the GJN 2025 projects. Okay, so what is referential integrity and why is it even important for you to know about referential integrity? I'm going to explain to you why you must know about it. There's a lot of issues that we encounter, and sometimes we don't even have explanations or solutions to it, because sometimes we might not even be able to figure it out and say, why is this happening in mine? I wrote my doubts, I did my stuff. Why am I having some blanks? Why am I having some blanks? And I will tell you why you're having those blanks now. It is very important for a Power BI, for somebody who wants to become a data analyst, or somebody who wants to become a Power BI developer. It's important for you to understand the concept of referential integrity in Power BI. Now, this concept does not only apply to Power BI alone, but also apply to even your database, even when you are doing your normalizations, even when in any context of table relationship, connecting tables to each other, then the topic referential integrity cannot be left out, right? It cannot be left out. Now, what is referential integrity? Let me just go ahead. Referential integrity is when you ensure that the relationship between your tables are valid and they are consistent. What does that mean? Have you ever been in a situation whereby you have a foreign key without a primary key? Imagine you having a customer ID in the sales table and the customer ID does not exist inside of the customer table. With that, you have violated referential integrity, because the concept of referential integrity ensures that there are no orphaned records. What we call orphaned records is when a foreign key exists without a corresponding primary key in the parents table, which is the dimension table, right? Now that's why sometimes when you now bring in your measure, maybe like total profit measure, and you now bring in your products from the product table, you will now see that there will be some products that you will see the profit amounts, right, on your table chart, but there are some you will now see blank, and you see some figures there. You now keep wondering that why is it not attaching these numbers to some products? Because the products exist in the sales table and those products does not exist in the dimension table. So when you are working on any Power BI reports, when you are working on any Power BI project, after you have built your schema and you have created relationship between your tables, whether by the virtue of your surrogate key or by the virtue of your composite key or by the virtue of what you call your primary key to your foreign key, always ensure that there is referential integrity. Now let's go ahead. I know that you all understand and have a basic foundational knowledge of primary key and foreign key. Now, primary key is a key that uniquely identifies each record in a database table, or let's say in the Power BI table also, right? While foreign key is what establishes that link between the tables. Now, the two connecting keys, primary and foreign key, they are the ones that ensure differential integrity and prevent orphan records. Why is it important for a Power BI developer to know about differential integrity? Because you need to ensure that your data model is accurate for reporting. You need to prevent error in your calculations, right? And you need to maintain consistency and trust in your report, because your stakeholders, for you to gain their trust before they can say, oh, Victoria, I trust that anything you build is perfect and is good. I trust you for what you do, is by you ensuring that there is consistency in your reports, by ensuring differential integrity, right? Okay. What are the benefits of differential integrity? Accurate relationship between your tables, consistent data, and efficient query. Efficient query in the sense that, I was watching this lady, for those of you that attended the fabric, what's it called, that they did recently in Lagos, and she talked about optimization, optimization, Power BI optimization generally, and she talked about query optimization, and she talked about the storage engine and the analysis engine, how they both work together, where she explained, right, that for every time you bring in a new chart, you refresh your data, your Power BI is sending the query out to the source to generate the results, right? And for you to ensure that there's efficient query, you need to make sure that you avoid orphan records, there's consistency, and that will now bring about efficient queries. Now, what are the ways that we usually violate differential integrity that we don't even know? Is when we start having orphan records, a foreign key that doesn't have a corresponding primary key. Duplicate keys. Imagine when different products are sharing the same primary key. Imagine different products having the same product ID. These are examples of ways you can be violating differential integrity that you don't know. Sometimes, SARS and MARS, it might not be your fault. It might be the fault of any other person. It might be that when they are collecting the data, it might be that there are issues in the data collection process. There might be issues in the data storage process, right? And it's important for you, don't just jump into building any Power BI reports without checking all of these things, without ensuring that you are not violating differential integrity, right? Okay, there are some things that we'll still talk about. You remember when we invited Samuel, he talked about having a data engineering mindset, even as a data analyst. You can know well about what data engineers do, how they do their work, the kind of tables that you deal with. That was why at the beginning of this class, I made sure that I explained that there are different types of fact table, which I told you guys to go and to present on when we talked about factless fact table, accumulating snapshot fact table, periodic standard fact table, semi-addictive fact table, addictive fact table, and non-addictive fact table. I intentionally ensured that you had that foundation at the beginning, so that by the time we start working on some kind of tables, you'll be able to understand that, oh, this is the kind of table, this one is a periodic snapshot, this one is accumulating snapshots. Do you understand? Because in some time, data engineer can create tables for you, and you need to deal with those tables. You need to find a way to bring out an accurate report, and the way you apply that to different fact tables, they differ from each other. I hope it's clear to us. So when you have duplicate keys, you have different products in a product table sharing one product ID, that is, you are violating differential integrity. Missing keys. Imagine that an update has been done on the database. Maybe a particular product or customer has been removed from the customer table, but it has not reflected on the transaction table. These are the ways that we violate differential integrity. Do you now know that you can use that to detect if there are violations in terms of differential integrity, I'm not going to show you that now before we go ahead. I'm going to bring in that our Power BI file. Let me know if you can see the Power BI desktop.
Yes, I can see it.
Thank you for your response. Now, let me go back to our data model. And this is our data model now. We have seen that we have how many fact table do we have here?
Just one.
Just one.
Just
What
one,
about
yeah, one.
dimension tables? How many do we have?
6.
6.
6.
Okay, 6. Thank you. Now we have 6 dimension tables. Now, and we have connected the fact to the dimensions based on our primary key, which is perfect. But how do we use DAX to validate that there are no foreign keys without primary keys, without a corresponding primary key? Let's start with the ship mode. Although in this case, I'm not sure if we are violating, because we created all of these dimensions from the fact. So by the time we refresh the facts, if there are other additional customers or location or everything, it will definitely reflect on the dimension tables. But I'm just showing you a way for you to test it out, right? In case that your data engineer provide you with the dimension table differently and the fact table differently, before you start working on the report, how do you ensure that there's referential integrity and that you are not violating it? Is what I'm about to show you now. So I'm going to open a new table. I'm going to click on enter data here, and you will see a box will come out now. You see the create table box like this, and I will rename it as hash DAX. So I always want to do this, to put this hash in front of the name of my table, because it can arrange it before it can appear before the other, because the table arrangement here is from A to Z, right? So but when you put a symbol in front, it's going to put it before the A to Z. So I'm going to click on load. I'm not editing anything. It's an empty table. Now I'm now going to test out the different dimensions now and see in comparison with the sales table if we are not violating referential integrity. Here's the table I just created now. Okay. So just waiting for you to load. Something is not right about my Power BI. It should not take this long to load an empty table. Okay. When we get to optimization, we are going to talk a lot about optimizing Power BI reports. So I have my hash DAX. I'm going to click on the table name, and I'm going to right click and click on new measure. Something is not right. Is that my system or okay? So I'm going to call it check referential integrity, check RI equals to, and I'm going to say calculate. Don't worry about this one for now. I will still copy and paste the formula for you. I'm going to say calculate count rows, right? Count row, which of the table? The sales table. The sales table, right? Count through the sales table. Now I'm going to apply filter, and I will now say filter the sales table, right? I will now use not related, right? I will start with, let me start with customer ID. Customer ID in the customer table. Don't worry about these things. So this is not basics of DAX. So I'm just showing you how to ensure referential integrity, right? and I'm going to click on enter. Now, let me explain what I just did for you guys to see. Now, this is what I did. This is my formula. Let me go and bring my mouse. Just give me 1 minute, guys. I'm coming. That's my system hanging. Just give me a minute, guys. My mouse. So I can expand this formula for you to see very well. Okay, I'm back. Can you see it clearly now?
Yes.
Okay. So I said calculate count rows. Count rows, we go to every row, count every row in sales. Now we'll filter the sales table and look for where there's no matching customer ID in the customer table, right? So you see the what you see the function not and related that is not related to customer ID column in the customer table, right? So let me just copy this for you guys. So we'll be using that for the other ones also. I don't know what is wrong with my Teams is hanging, you know. Can you see hear me, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What is wrong with these Teams? It's hanging. I don't know. I can't even paste or do anything. Just hold on for me, guys. Sorry. This thing can just embarrass you sometimes. Okay. Maybe when the Teams comes up, I will paste it there. So this is the formula. So let's go now and just bring in a card chart. I'll bring in a card chart and I'll bring in the check RI. There is an error. Where did I make mistake? Calculate control sales, filter sales, not related to customer ID. It's in terms of my brackets. What was the problem? Let me check my slide. I'm supposed to only close the brackets 3 times. I think I closed it 4 times. So it's not complete yet.
No, it has to be closed 4 times now.
Yeah, exactly. So I have one open here. I open and close this one already, so there's no problem here. This one filter 1, 2, 3. I think it's supposed to be 3 times though. But this one should be the 4th one. Yeah. So what's the problem? Just hold on for me, guys. Okay, hold on, please. It should be 4 times. Please let's check this together. Where did I make mistake? I open one bracket there, open and close this one, open this one. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's confirm. Hmm. Oh, I know where the error is, Harry. I know where the error is. Okay, I think my customer ID is in text. Abi, let me confirm. My customer ID is in text. I think that was the problem. Let me change it to whole number. So let me go back to the customer ID too. We cannot automatically convert. Okay, no problem. Let me go back to let me go to transform and convert it to whole number. Can you see the power query?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My Power BI is very slow today. What happened? Okay, whole number. Error. Okay. Okay, wait. So I can't convert it to whole number through the customer IDs. Okay, I think I know what to do. Let's do this.
Can we check how you write the customer ID?
The customer ID is a mixture of text and number. So instead of using not, let's try is blank. Let's try is blank. Okay. Okay. I think it's blank gave us the it's blank. So let's assume that maybe because our customer ID is not in, but that should not be a problem. Just hold on for me, please. Okay, the error is not caused by the data type. I think it was because I used the notes together with it. So this now is telling us that there are no there are no customer ID in sales that does not exist in the customer table. Assuming there is one, it will return the number of customer ID that we have in sales that we do not have in the customer table. I hope it's clear to us. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Somebody was saying something before. Sorry, Abdullah, Abi. I think I know your voice. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, were you saying
I was really trying
something?
to, yes, I was
Yeah.
really trying to check if um it has anything to do with you writing customer ID. I mean,
No, I think
customer
the issue
ID.
is that the not that I put there, not related, the not is there is
Okay.
expecting a true or a false. Do you understand? Because I use
Yeah.
not with
All right.
related, so it's expecting a true or a false, and that is not what the outcome they are expecting. So the issue was with the logic, using the not with the related was the issue. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes, I have
Yes.
a question. So
Okay.
ordinarily, when you write codes, right,
Hmm.
you get like error logs, and this helps you to actually figure out what to do or where the error is coming from. But
Yeah.
as with the case with Power BI, so how do you go and check for the error logs and say, okay,
Okay. Thank you. You will
probably
see that when I use not, let me use not again. Not related. To bring out the error now. Let's see. So look at see details. Calculation error in this cannot convert RR 19315 of type text to true or false. To type true false. Do you understand? You see, you see the error message, right?
yes, yes. I
It
think
cannot
this is very
convert
clear now.
because the data type for the customer ID
It's
is
not
in
a Boolean.
text. It's not a
Yes.
boolean. You understand? So it does not understand. It cannot relate it. It cannot understand the logic. The logic is complicated for Power BI to process, right?
Exactly.
So it's better to use is blank in this context now. Is blank is better. Sometimes you will see the error message like that. Sometimes if you don't see the error message, you can leverage ChatGPT, Copilot, or any AI tool to say, okay, oh, I this is what I want to achieve. I typed in this expression, but I got an error. And you even give it the error. Then it will tell you that okay, the error is because of blah blah blah. And it will explain to you and even give you maybe the right results. So that's why I said understanding the logic first is important, understanding the basics. And AI is just meant to enhance what you already know, the foundation that you already have, right? So I don't know.
Yes.
I've used this not before. I don't know why today it stopped suddenly. It stopped working. But I think the context is different. Yeah? I think the example that I did on my YouTube video was the I think the data type was I think it was not in text. It was whole number. Okay. Um. Let's go ahead. So do you all understand this now, guys?
Yes, yes, I
Shall I
do.
move ahead? Okay, good. So
Yeah, you
let's try
can.
something else. Okay, thank you. Let's try something else. So let's go to the customer ID table. Let's go to the customer ID table. Let's go to the customer ID table. Let's go to the sales table rather. That's our source. Let's go back to the source. Let me go and check where my source is. I have it under your class folder transaction CSV. Okay. So what I'm going to now do is so that you understand what we are doing here, that will make sense to us. Let me go and add one customer. Eh? And I will now repeat, I will now put a customer ID that we do not have in the customer. Oh, in this case, it will not, when I refresh, it will just show in the, what I wanted to do was to go to the sales table and add in one customer that we don't have in customer table, but because we did duplicate, so it will definitely, when I refresh it, it will definitely show, uh, still reflect in the customer table. So this table is not a good example. I hope you understand what I wanted to do. So add in a new customer transaction with a customer ID that does not exist in the customer table. So by the time you can try that out at your own free time, you can try it out. And what you will see is that instead of showing blank here, it will show the number of customer IDs that we have in sales that does not exist in the customer table. So you can, to also ensure that you check for others, is just to come here and change, for example, segment to segment ID and segment table here, ship mode ID to ship mode. That's what you would just do. That's what you would do for all the other dimensions. Is this clear to us, guys? Is this clear to us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the aggregation functions that we have. Let's go back to our data model. I always like going back there. So, so that I can check what I'm doing. So, let's say I want to calculate. Let's start with the. Let's start with. Should we even go into measures now? No. Let's start with the. Let's start talking about the implicit and the explicit measure. So when we say implicit measures, we refer to when we. Let me show you what I mean by implicit measure. Let me remove this one. And for example, I have my sales table, and I have my sales column here, and I drag in this sales column inside of a chart. Now the sales column I will refer to it as an implicit measure because it is drag and drop. I can see the aggregation of that column on inside of this chart. I don't need to write a DAX expression to do this, but I can see the results. So we call this implicit measures, right? The drag and drop, right? But this has limitations in the sense that the way I drag it now is telling me that it is sum of sales, right? Right? I can come here and change the type of aggregation, maybe to average, minimum, maximum counts, but I'm limited to how I can modify the calculation, how I can modify the aggregation, right? When I do implicit measure, I'm limited. I cannot do anything other than all of these aggregators that I have here. I cannot do anything like context transition, or I cannot do anything like filter. I can do filter context, or even though it is limited, I can decide to apply filter on this visual. Maybe I want to, for example, now, maybe I want to apply filter, and let me go to location and drag in location or postal code inside the filter on this visual, right? And I go to basic filtering and I just pick a particular location I'm looking for. Fine, I can still do that, right? And it will reduce the amount to only that postal code that I'm selecting in this list, right? So sometimes we can do what we call implicit measures, but the one that we use that we write our expression and say the total sales is equals to sum of the sales column in the sales table. That one we call it explicit measures, right? Or we just call it measures, right? Whether you call it measures, whether you call it explicit measures, they are the same, right? It means the same thing. Okay, so that is just the concept of this measure. Now we also have what we call quick measure, right? It's also another fast way to write simple measures. If they are not too complicated and you need something very fast, you can also do quick measure. So if I can click on quick measure, for example, here, and let's say I want to do a sum, right? You see different things that you can do here: aggregate by category, filters, time intelligence, totals, and all those things. Now, what I want to do is actually totals, right? What I want to do is totals. So I'm going to click on totals, to click on running total. Or no, what I want to do is, I think, is it totals or addition? Okay, it's addition. I want to click on addition. And what does it mean by base value? Okay, so I'm going to come here. I'm going to come here. I'm going to look for the sales, right? I'm going to do sum of sales. Sorry, hold on, guys. Sorry, please. 1 minute. Okay, I think I'm not meant to pick addition. I'm supposed to pick quick measure. I'm coming. This one is if I'm minusing two columns from each other. Which one am I going to pick? Oh? It's not this one. Average, no. Is it going to be? No. Let me try this running total. No. Why can't I see? So are they saying that I cannot add a column with quick measure? I'm coming. Sales doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. It's not what I want to do. No. No. Okay, so I cannot do that with quick measure. Yeah, I thought I could though. Okay, so this is not what I want to do. This one works if we are dealing with. So let me just delete it. Delete from model. Let me look for another column I can use. So let's say unit selling price by quantity. Perfect. So let me go to multiplication. I want the unit selling price multiplied by the quantity. So I can use that to get. So multiplication, sum of unit selling price by sum of quantity, and I'll click on add. And it's going to create the measure for me. It's going to multiply the sum of the unit selling price by the total quantity, and now I can call this my total sales, right? So you can use quick measure to create not too complicated the DAX expression. It makes it very fast, right? Then I can rename it, then drag it to my card chart here, and I can see my total sales. Does this make sense to us, guys? Is there anyone among us there that use quick measures a lot?
Yes, it makes
Anybody?
sense.
Sorry?
It makes sense. It makes sense. Cool.
Okay. Now, so let me close this one. So there are different obligations that you can do, different calculations that you can do with quick measure, but it's also limited, especially when you are doing context transition. You cannot really do a lot with quick measure, right? So that is just the foundation. Now let's look at some of the basic aggregators, like your sum, like your, what's it called? Your sum, your average, your min, max, all of those things. So let's go to this HDAX, click on new measure, right? And I will say, what can I even sum here? Okay, let's first do total transactions. Total transactions. I'm going to be asking you guys one question here. And I'm going to say count rows of the sales table. Now, can somebody try and tell me why I'm not using counts? And I'm using count rows to get my total transactions. Can anybody try and explain why it's better to use count row than using counts? Anybody? I'm waiting, no, guys. Why is counts rows better than counts? If I want to calculate total transactions that I have,
I
and in what
I think
context? Okay, continue.
so. I think the count rows count the numbers of rows in the table.
Why the
Okay.
count, we count the numbers. Now, why the count, we, how will I explain the difference? The count, we only count the numbers of rows that has numerical data. Why the count rows, we give you the total numbers of rows in the table, including the one that does not have data.
You said count rows, you count the number of rows in a table, regardless of whether there's
In
data there.
in a column, rather, yeah. If
Wait,
it
you are
returns
confusing
only.
me. You say count rows, we count the number of rows in a table, regardless of whether there are some columns that are empty or not. Is that it?
Yes, that's count rows.
Okay, but what about counts?
Why the count will not count empty ones? We only count the ones that has data.
That has valid data inside of it, right?
Yes, yes.
Now, in what context is count rows not appropriate to apply? In what context? In what situation is it better for us to use counts rather than count rows?
Okay. Okay, maybe I will not use cells. Maybe I will use.
Sorry, sir.
Okay.
I'll
Continue,
I would
please,
say in
continue,
the
please.
context where, sorry, I would say in the
Yeah.
context where we are to count all the observation in that particular tables,
Okay.
regardless
Okay.
of whether there is no value or not no value. That is, you are looking to take the total records available in that particular tables.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is when you use count row, Abi.
Yes, sir.
I'm really looking for the difference. Like, why is count rows better than count in that context that I just described now?
Because count row factor in the including the empty space.
Okay, the empty
yes.
for
So
empty
should in
columns.
case
Okay.
should in case you have a transaction, I'm using a transaction for instance that it has an empty within the transaction ID. So it will that will also be factored in as part of values.
Okay. There's one answer I'm looking for that you guys have not thought about. And I want others to also contribute to this. There's one answer that I'm looking for. Where count rows is more better to use than count, and where we count is also better to use than count row. I understand the part of the empty value and all those things. I understand, but I'm looking for something. Can anybody try? Can anybody try?
Okay, good evening, sir.
Well done, sir.
Yes. Okay, for my own idea, I think count row is better to use count row when a table is not having a primary key. And
I think I like that point.
If a table is having
When
a
a table does not have the primary key.
Yes.
But okay, continue.
Yeah, but if a table is having a primary key, I think the count and count row should give the same thing because primary key cannot be empty, cannot be null.
Wait, so you said the count and the count row should be the same thing. Why?
When the table is having a primary key, because the primary key should not be, it shouldn't be an empty.
Okay, I understand you now.
So
okay, I understand you. Thank you.
Value.
Okay. Any other person before we go? I'm looking for something that you guys have not said. And whoever can get it right, that person should get a gift. So. Anybody?
So I think.
Okay.
So I think ordinarily, what count rows would do is generally tables would most likely have null values. Maybe for data that's not that crucial. So if you're using count rows, irrespective of whether the row has a null value or not, you're going to get your absolute rows, right? But if it is for count, it will be omitted, which makes your data not complete in that sense. So let's say, for example, you have customer name, price, and maybe discount. If discount is not offered for that product, count will not count that sales. But with count rows, it will definitely count that rows for in a sales table.
Okay, let me ask my question like this so everybody understand where I'm going to. What if I want distinct transaction? If I
Mr.
want
Benga,
distinct transaction,
can I say something quickly, sir?
yeah.
Yeah, I would say, take for instance, if we are to analyze customer order and we have a table customers and we also have other rows of order. So if you are to use count can actually count, or we can use count to analyze total customer, like based on their phone number. So it will actually give us a distinct count of all the customers. So if you are using count row, we can use count row to analyze order. So in that sense, we can actually get both duplicates order. Maybe a customer place multiple orders. So we can use count row to achieve that. But we can also use counts to achieve, maybe to get the distinct customers.
We cannot use count to get distinct customers, sir. Do you
Can't you
understand?
use distinct count?
You can use distinct counts. Okay, let me just answer the question by myself because nobody's getting where I'm going to. So if I say I want unique, I want unique. Sorry.
Let me try. This is Jude.
Good evening. Please, let's be fast. Okay.
Okay, this is Jude. To my own understanding, we can use the difference between count and count row is that from everything that is said, count row. Okay, sorry, count cannot
wait.
Before
you go ahead, sir. Wait. My question is, if I want unique distinct transactions, how am I going to approach that?
If you want distinct transaction, then you make use of count row to filter out the transaction you want, because
that's not correct, sir. That's not correct. That's not what I'm looking for. Let me just answer my question by myself. So we've talked about count rows that regardless of whatever, whether there are some empty columns or whatever, it will count all the rows in a table. So count rows deals with table and not column. Count deals with column, right? And the issue with count is that count will only count, it will only aggregate rows that have a value. So if there are rows that have blank, it will not count it. But the count row will count every row, regardless of which there are columns that there are blanks. But if I now have a situation whereby I have the order ID repeating itself because a customer bought different products in one order. So row 1 is showing order ID 101. What was bought was bread. The same another row again showing order ID 101. What was bought was butter. Now, if I now do a count on the order ID, it's not giving me distinct transactions, right? So in that sense, what I just needed from you was to say, if it happens in this situation, I'm going to be using the distinct counts, not count rows, not counts, right? I'm going to be using distinct counts on the order ID, what's it called? On the order ID column. Now, in the normal sense of things, I mean the standard way of things, there should not be any row that the order ID is empty, right? Because order ID being the primary key, for example, it should not be empty. If it's empty and you see all the other transactions, you need to go back to the database guy. Are you getting my point, stars and math? This is where the concept of differential integrity comes in. You have to go back to them. You can't be saying transactions that don't have an ID. And you're not going to be the one to put the ID to it by yourself. So, for transaction occur, there must be an ID. There must be an order ID for it. There must be an ID generated from the system, right? But when the customer made that order. I don't know what I'm saying, whether it makes sense to us. But assuming the situation whereby, please, can you guys see him? Just to confirm.
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So, but if it's a situation whereby it is one order ID per row, one transaction per row, then whether you use count or you use count row or you use distinct counts, it will give you the same result. Does it make sense to us?
Yes.
Mr. Benga, no, please. I don't know if you can repeat yourself again. Sorry, I missed out.
Okay, what part do you not understand?
I don't really know because my network had some issues, so I really don't know when you were explaining between the count rows and the count aspects.
Okay, so what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is that if you have some tables that the order ID is repeated, order ID 101, the person bought bread, order ID 101 again, another row, the person bought butter, the person bought a spoon, the person bought another thing, like 5 things in one order. And all the 5 things are listed per row for that same order ID keep repeating. Right? Now, if you now say I want a distinct transactions, right? I mean, I want a distinct count of transactions. Count row and count will not work in that context. I'll have to do a distinct count on the order ID column before I can get the unique, the distinct transactions. Do you understand what I'm saying, Chidima?
Yes, I do now. Yeah, I do now.
But assuming that the order is one order ID per row, then the count and the count row or counts or distinct counts will give you the same results.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is it clear to everybody, please, before I move ahead? Is it clear?
It's clear, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, it is.
So let's just try something else. Let's now look at what's it called? Let's do another expression. This expression we will now do a count now. Order ID counts will now be, oh, why is this thing jumping now? Will now be equals to the count of the order ID in the sales table, right? So this one is order ID counts. Is it going to give us same results? Let's see. Okay, give us same results. Let's try distinct count now. I'll just, instead of typing another one, let me just do it here. A distinct count of the order ID column in the sales table. Is it the same results? Oh, see what I'm saying now? So if they tell you now that how many orders did we do today, and you used count row, you are duplicating values. Count row is not the best in this context. If I say how many orders did we do today, distinct count of order ID is the best that will give you that. It shows that for distinct count to give me 264 and count is giving me the same thing as this. It means that let's go back to the sales table and check. So let's go back to the sales table. So order ID, let's pick one order ID. Okay, this one doesn't have duplicate. Let me try this one. Aha. You see what I just said? I didn't even know that the order ID is repeated. See now, in one order, this is one order. There are different products. Aha, see different products. 1, 2, 3. In just one order. Just in one order. Let me now ask you something. Do we still say that the order ID is the primary key in this table? Yes or no? Let's argue.
No.
No, I will
Why,
say it's
sir?
not.
Why, ma?
It's no, because we already have duplicates and it has violated the rules of primary key. No duplicates.
Yes.
Has violated what? The rules of
The
primary
rules
key.
of primary key.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you, sir.
no duplicate.
So in this scenario now, what can we now do to this table to have a key that is unique per row? I taught you guys these things.
Okay. Based on what I've learned in this class,
Okay.
The best thing is to find where the duplicate is coming from. And from this table, it is obvious that it's from the product ID. So maybe we can just match both the order ID and the product ID together.
The order ID and the product ID together. That is composite key.
Yeah, to make it one. So
To form our primary key. Okay. I think that is not a bad one.
Okay.
That is not a
Another
bad
thing
one.
we can do is,
okay.
Can we generate an index and then?
Thank you. I prefer the index
Yeah.
than the one he said. Because if we say we are combining only order ID with the product ID, what about customer? What about customer ID? What about the other IDs, ship mode ID? Because it is one order per customer, per product, per location, per ship mode, per segment, per category. Do we understand? Do we understand what I'm saying, guys? I taught you guys about surrogate key. Surrogate key.
Yes.
Hey, people have used that topic to go and eat more money and akara. So it's from what Isaiah said. I prefer to have index, to create index, right? That will just give me a list of consecutive values, right? Than combining all these together. It will be too much, and I don't think that is really. I don't know. If I correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that is optimization friendly anyway. But if we use the index and you see 1, 2, 3 to the last row, then you can use that as a primary key because each row is unique. Even though it is the same order appearing 3 times, each row is unique. It is unique per product, per customer, per everything. Does it make sense to what I just said now? Is it what we can relate with? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. So we've talked about the difference between the counts, using quick measure, using count rule, using counts, using distinct counts, right? Okay, what about average? Let's talk about average. I thought you can share the attendance form now. And if you go and fill attendance for a friend, I have a record of everybody that is in this class. So we are going to compare. It's not a matter of whether you are born, you know how to manipulate. I'm a master too. So don't worry yourself about that. Average sales, for example, we are going to be using the average function, right? And we apply average to the table and the column. So sales, right? The sales column in the sales table, I press enter, and I have my average sales. Okay. I'll just come here, copy and paste these card charts. And I'm going to cancel what I have there, and I'm going to put the average sales inside. Right. So we are on aggregators now. Let me even give it a title. So that we will know that, okay, we've covered this, we've covered that. We can be tracking it based on the functions that we covered. So if I were you, I will follow in the videos of the class. I'll be doing it so that my Power BI file too will be up to date as per what we did last in class. So great. Don't worry, today is basic. We are still going to more more advanced tax expressions. So some people will say, this one is too simple for me. Yeah, let's move to the big ones. Why is my Power BI this slow today, for God's sake? Okay. Aggregators. So average counts, distinct counts, quick measure. Let's go to another one. Let's go to mean. We'll do min max. Min max. Mean sales equals to what? Just apply the mean function, right? The sales value, the sales column in the sales table, that is the minimum sales in a transaction. Now, I want you to get something right. The minimum sales in a transaction is different from the minimum sales per product. It's different from the minimum sales per customer. Do we understand what I'm saying? Everyone hear me? Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
The minimum sales is for the entire transaction in the entire table, right? If I wanted to do the minimum sales amount per customer, per product, per ship mode, per any dimension, the way I'm going to write the expression is going to be different. I'm going to be using min x for that, which is the iterator, which is an iterator function. It's different. We are still going to get to iterators. We are only starting with the basics for today, right? So get it clear that the minimum. Now, another good thing about when you're writing your that expression is that you can put a comment, right? You can do the double slash and say, this is the minimum sales amount for the entire transaction. Did you see how I did it now? These comments sometimes they're always good because sometimes you might have forgotten the logic, especially if you write some data that are a little complicated, or you are doing context transition, and you just write an expression, and you can't remember the logic, the reason why you wrote that. You can put a comment like this. It's not going to affect if I commit. It's not going to affect my data expression here. The minimum sales. It's not going to affect it. Is it clear to us, guys? So you can put a comment. Okay. Now let me just copy this and click on new measure here again. Let's do max. Let's do max. I'll call this what is the maximum sales amount per each transaction that we have in the table. Per each transaction that we have in the table. And shift and enter. If you want to go to the next line, you press shift and enter on your keyboard, and you say this is the maximum sales amount. This is the maximum sales amount per transaction in the table, right? And say this is not per customer, per product, etc. Okay, so that is the maximum sales amount. So I'm going to copy and paste that there. Okay, so minimum sales and maximum sales. Okay, so that is the maximum. Now, these are our maximum sales. Do you know that you can also apply some formatting? You can apply formatting to your what do we call it? You can apply formatting to your DAX your measures. Look at this part here. When I click on the measure here on the under data, right? You can see all these ones appear. You can change the name of the measure here. You can change the name of, you can even change the table location. So as when you made a mistake, it was meant to be on inside the sales table and you put it on HDAX. I'll just come to this place and click on the sales table, and the measure will move from the HDAX table and move inside the sales table, right? And let's say you want to format it to be decimal, you don't want decimal, you can change the data type here too. So I want it to be whole number. I want it to be whole number. I'm going to change data type. So it's showing that it is 8,000. If I want, I can apply a comma. So the good thing is that if you apply some formatting on your that expression, by the time you want to reuse that same measure on another chart, you don't have to come back again and change this to whole number again. Apply a comma again. You've already applied it. Probably the first time you did it. So when you are reusing that measure again on another chart, it's going to apply that format you applied on it. It's going to apply it inside of that chart. Is it clear to us, guys?
Yes.
Is it? Okay. So let me look for some other ones that we have to talk about. Isaiah?
Yeah, Mr. Admin.
Have you shared the attendance?
Yes, I have.
Please, you have to close the attendance now in case you've not closed it before.
I'll close it.
Oh, thank you. Now that we know this, let's do another final one before we go, which is the counter. So what does counter do? We'll find out. Another good thing is that when you're writing a measure, there is IntelliSense. There is IntelliSense that will appear, right? Click on counter. IntelliSense will tell you. I'm not saying my IntelliSense now because this is showing now. Count the number of values in a column, right? Count the number of values. So let me also use this with the other ID, and let's see what the result will be like. Okay. Said I use counter. Okay. Now, so is there any difference between counter and count? I'm asking you guys, counter and count, is there any difference? What's your answer, guys? Counter and count.
Yes, there is. I guess counter is for alphabets when you want to count alphabets in your rules, and byte count is for numbers.
You said count is for numbers.
Count is for numbers, and the counter is for alphabets.
Is that really correct?
Right? Yes, that's what I mean.
No, I'm saying that is that really correct?
Yes, that's correct. Counter is for alphabet.
Counter is for what?
Alphabets. Numbers
Okay, that is not correct, man. Counter can count anything, whether it's alphabet or it is numbers or text or whatever. Counter can count any data type. Do you understand?
All right, sir.
But can't. I'm not even sure if what I'm saying to is correct in this part. For can't. So when I did a count of the order ID, let me see my order ID in my sales table. This is my order ID. I think it is text, right? And when I did the counts on it still gave me results now. So if you say count is only for numeric values alone, it's not showing any error when I did a count on order ID. Right? Let's see. These are all contributions. Though. I understand that counter can count anything, whether you have a mixture of data types in a column. Doesn't matter for counter. For count, so it's counting my order ID, even though my order ID is in text. So I cannot say that count only works for numeric columns.
Okay, so I think
okay,
counter would it would ignore a text, anything text. It will ignore if it is blank or not. So if there's supposed to be a text in a cell or it's blank, counter will ignore it. But count is for dates and numbers, yeah.
I understand that the two will not count any blank value. Do you understand? But
yes, so that's what I'm saying. Like for counter, it's only based on text, while for count, it's based on dates or numbers.
You know what I conclude from my research?
Yes.
Count and counter, they will give the same results. If you have any counter opinion, you can let me know. But count and counter would give you the same results. Although
okay,
the general purpose of counter is that.
Something?
Sorry?
Okay, I mean, can we like test something? If a column, because both of them actually, just like you said, like they are focused on columns. So if a counter is focused on a particular column and the column is not what's it called? It's not text based. If the column is not text based, okay. So let's say maybe you are focused. I think it will most likely make a difference if you are trying to count more than one columns. So if one of the columns is text based, that is when you see the difference between.
What do you mean by counting more than one column? I don't understand that. Sorry.
No. Okay, so let's say for example.
Yeah.
Or let's say you have like 3 columns, or in a table you have like 4 columns in a table. If the text type, or should I say the data type for each column, none of it is text. Or let's say aside the customer ID, for example, the other columns are actually not text, right? If they are not text, counter doesn't care. Like it will count, the one that has, it will be concerned more about the one that has text, and to just count the number of rows and everything like that. But if you're using, so if you're using count, right, and one of the other columns has a missing value, because the other columns are actually numbers, count will not count that rows. So that is what happens. So count will not count the row. But let's say, for example, one of the column has a text that is missing. The data type for that column is a text, and there's a missing value in that column. Counter will not count it. So I think that's where
it's same thing as count too. Count too will not count it. So far, there's a blank value.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
But okay.
The two of them,
I thought
they don't count blank value.
Yes, exactly. But one does not count a blank value if it is dates or numbers, and the other one does not count a blank value if it is text.
Okay. So I know that we are all used to saying that counter only this with any data type, and this with only numeric. Something like that, Abby.
Text type.
Who is that making noise in the background, though? Okay, Mr. Abdullah, Abdulaziz. what I want to conclude is that the original purpose of counter is for it to count values if you have a mixture of data types. Do you understand? You have a
Okay.
mixture of text value and numeric value in a column, right? Then counter that is the original purpose of counter. Like count too, it will ignore where you have blank values in the column. So both count and counter will do that. But in practice, count you only count numeric values in a column, right?
Yes.
But count also counts text. It counts text, it counts numbers, and it will ignore blank. So the
Yes.
two they do the same thing.
So actually, yes. So the thing is, they all count, right? But the exception is if they now see a space in a particular column,
yeah,
they will ignore based on the data type. So if the column that has the missing value has a data type for numeric, that is numeric or a date data type, is going to ignore. But if the missing value, if the column of that missing value is a text, count will not ignore. But if it's a date or number, it will ignore.
Are you sure, sir?
99%.
Wait, besides what? If the what?
So if the column
just repeat that sentence. If the column is text, Abby, for count, or is numeric.
If it is numeric or date or a date data type, right?
Okay.
That is when it will ignore. But if it is a text, it will not ignore. If the missing value here is a text, it will not ignore.
I'm coming. Let me confirm what you're saying.
Hey. I thought there's a way to find out when you type it on DAX.
You mean the IntelliSense, Abby?
Yes, you just click on an arrow, it will tell you what each one means.
You see what is just showing us here?
No,
count the number of values in a column. That's the only thing.
Yes, but then if you put count, it will tell you what that one is. So this one counts the number of values. Then when you put
you see, the counter count the number of values. It's not saying numeric value. It's not saying the text value. It's not saying. What's it called?
It's not saying depth, more like saying.
Sorry.
In the definition, clean and let's see for counts. This one says number of values. Okay. Then what is count? If you click on that arrow, the arrow near the
count the numbers in a column.
So this one counts only numbers, the other one counts everything.
You're saying that in IntelliSense, but in the real sense of it, it's counting text values too.
This counts?
Yes, now.
Oh, okay.
It's counting text values
follow
too.
this thing. This thing saying they follow.
Are you sure that count counts alphabet?
We can check it.
How did I do my other ID? How did I do this one? I'm coming. Let me return this one back to what it. I'm coming. I want to really confirm what Abdulaziz is saying. I want to confirm it. I'm coming. So he said if the column is numeric or data type, that it won't ignore, Abby. It will ignore.
Yeah, it will ignore for count. So it will just like ignore it. But if it is a text base, it will not ignore. But for counter, if it is a text base, it will ignore. But if it is date or numeric, it will not ignore it.
Okay. It's good to trash out all these things before we go. Okay. I'm coming, sir. Mr. Abdulaziz,
Yes.
I made some research now. What you said is not correct.
Okay.
Yes. So in DAX, count works with any data type, and it will ignore blank. It doesn't matter whether it's dates or whether it is numeric or whether it is text.
Next.
Yes. Count and counter will give you the same results. They both ignore blank regardless of the data type of the column. Yes, you can confirm.
Okay.
Because now count is telling us numbers, but
Hello,
when we are
sorry,
applying it on text, it's giving results. Hello? Somebody say something?
sorry, Mr. Kunga, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Mr. Kunga, good evening.
Mr.
I
Monaco,
think
where
this
you
thing,
is now? Now, when I give
I'm
you
with you.
experience, you like to the enter.
And then I'm with you. Okay, I think in the context, maybe we should try it out on Excel. So because it's different with Power BI, because I think what
Don't let us
Mr.
try it out
Samson,
in Excel because now Power BI class we do.
I know. They are both still the same. The idea of Power BI is also coming from Excel actually.
Because I
But
still did an Excel class this week, and in Excel truly can't only count numbers. If I tested it.
Exactly.
And so in the way it works in DAX is different. Like the behavior of count and counter in DAX is the same in practice. Do you understand, sir? Not in just the definition now, in real practice. But in Excel, count and counter is different. But in DAX is the same. Because now we can all see it here. It's obvious. It's giving the same results. Okay, let's try something.
Can we create a table ourselves and let's have both blank or a text inside it so that we can test it and see how it plays out?
And we even have, I'm coming. We even have dates. This is date, Abby. This one is date. This one is text. Let's have one. This one is number. The sales is number. Yeah, let's test it out now. Let me create another measure now.
No. I think they're mixing it up. So
no, I mean we have 3 different data types inside that table.
Inside the same column, not different column.
Okay, inside the same column.
Yes, that's
okay. Oh yeah, now let's test it out. So we'll mix it together. We'll mix different data types together in a column. But my question now is, what are we going to give that column in terms of data type in our Power Query?
It's going to be any too now.
Eh?
It's going to be any like a mixture of text.
We will not put anything. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I like these kind of things. I like arguments. Hey. Let me quickly just open one Excel file. So let me just call this one order ID. And I will now have a day. I will have dates 2025 0601. I will now have 20 50. I'll have being guidance. Abby? Maybe that's it.
Yes, then blank as well.
Yes.
Blank too. Let me first put one. Let me put one date here.
Put blank before your name. Put the blank before your name.
I'll put a blank now. System is just hanging. Oh God. So let me now make it a table. Perfect. And I'll save it. I will name it count by source counter. Let me put it in documents. Okay, I'll close it. This system, man. Okay, so let me go and import it now. To be in documents. Documents. Count versus counter. Okay. Yeah. Guys, please bear with me today. My system is slow. I don't know why. Let me just load it. There's no need for cleaning. Okay. Oh my God, my system is so slow. Okay. Okay. So let's try it out now. Let's start with count, Abby. Count table one. Other ID. Okay. It's showing me 6 for count. And bring in the table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's ignoring the blank. Okay. Let's do counter. Okay. Let's see if it changes. It's still 6. Michelle.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
I said he gave me the same thing.
Same thing.
Yes.
For count.
For both count and counter.
Give you 6. Wow.
Can we
Please,
change
can I
the data type of the column?
Okay.
Let me see the table first.
It's text.
If the data type is text, he's assuming that everything is text now.
Okay, let's go back to transfer. I thought it won't give it a data type. It just be a mixture. Like, you know how powerful they used to do it now.
Yes.
So let's go back.
For me, I just feel like this thing is mostly applicable on Excel, Power BI.
Exactly. But what we are trying to teach people here is that the behavior of counter and count in DAX is the same. I see that you see that in Power Query is showing a mixture of number and alphabets. Can we see? Well, I don't know when it gets to Power BI, showing it as text. You know, this one must pick one. You cannot have mixture. In Power BI desktop, it must be one. We cannot have mixture. It's my Power BI will embarrass me today.
I think most people are actually right based on the background or basics of what these functions are doing, right?
So people are right. People are right by definition. They are right. Sincerely, it's just that the practical behavior is different. My Power BI is hanging. For God's sake. Okay. I think we can. I'm having blank. Oh, I canceled. Sorry. So, guys, I think we can end the class for today. I'll come back next week, Sunday. We are going to start with iterators. We are going to start with row context, right? When we are done with row context, probably go to filter context. Then we talk about filters and filter context. Then after then, we'll now move to time intelligence. To time intelligence, we'll move to logical functions. Which one again? We can do text functions too, but I don't know if we are going to get there anyway. Then table functions, all these your values and distinct, you still the difference between them. All these your relationship functions, use relationship, related table, all those things. You now start you will enjoy it by the time we start doing it. Related, all those things, lookup value. We'll run through all those things. Then after that, we'll go to what's it called? All these external tools. Where are they? All these external tools. Tabular editor, Dark Studio, Bravo, and all these things. So, it will tell us what they are used for. And also Measure Killer. I have to install it, so I've not installed Measure Killer. So I think with that, we'll move to the other things or the other parts before we go to SQL. Mr. Abdullah Bankole, are you there? Please get ready to start taking us SQL. When we get to the SQL parts, I said we get to the SQL parts. You give us SQL foundation. Yes.
Okay.
I've seen all of your videos on your SQL, and I know that you know SQL very well.
Yeah, my videos.
Mopelade, I know you know SQL now.
About SQL.
Chidima will call you to this call. That if you do birthday, don't call us when we call chop cake. Your head like chicken.
My boss.
When is that time? No, we are ready.
Okay. Mopelade, are you there? Is she off the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Mopelade, you teach us some class.
Yeah, you
Let me look
spoke
for a
to me
topic for you.
about that, about systems.
Sorry?
I said yes, you already said something like that before.
What did I give you any topic to teach?
You said related and related table.
Oh, thank you. That was what came to my mind. That time I see like what they call my mind now. Related and related table. I don't know why. Okay. So we end the class for today. We just get ready to teach that topic. Mr. Follow Show.
All right.
Our Power BI Egmont. I can look for one topic I will give Mr. Follow like this. I'm coming on. Okay. Mr. Follow Show.
Yeah, hello, sir.
So get ready to take us on what's it called? Get ready to take us what is the topic that I have in mind though? I'm coming on. That's not this tax function. No, Jesus, why did I forget? Oh my. Oh, I'm coming. Just give me a minute, please. I remember the tax function now. Why did I forget? A very interesting tax function. My system is seriously hungry. That can this task function that can connect tables together, even though their level of granularity is not the same. Oh, what's that task function now?
It's not all selected.
No.
Are you talking about? Okay, I think someone said
You
something.
said what? Continue.
Or are you talking about role playing dimension?
Not role playing dimension. Treat us. I remember. Treat us.
Okay.
Treat us. Please get ready to teach us treat us between now and the end of July. You will take the class. Treat us. That's what you will teach us. Mr. Bankole, SQL. I will share the SQL between some people here. I don't know why my team is not working. No, hey Jesus. But by next week Sunday, when we come back, I will share some topics so that other people too can teach. Some people are like, "Is it Mr. Wenger all the time?" Don't tire for the guy.
Yeah,
I have a taste of somebody else.
Why would we be tired of you? We will never be tired of you.
No, some people are tired of me. Say now only me they talk. Say they want fresh voice.
Okay.
I will share it. So I also gave my captain some topics too. Anyway.
Voilà.
My captains. I gave Nike a topic last week. So Nike will take us parallel period, same period last year, last date, opening balance month, closing balance year, all those things. What did I give Isaiah? What did I give you, Isaiah?
I think calculation table, something around.
No. Calculation groups is what I gave you.
Calculation groups, yes.
Yes. We're using Tabular Editor and using Power BI Desktop. You did it too for us that day. I think I gave gifts. No, that's not what I gave you. Are you sure? Okay, that's what I gave you. I gave gifts, multiplying columns from different tables using related. Multiplying columns from different tables using that's what I gave. Gift is not here, Abby.
It's not here.
I will draw the timetable and share it during the week so that everybody will know the topic they are teaching. And for those that they want to teach one or two topics, you can reach out to me so I can assign to you a topic. Thank you very much, guys. See you next week Sunday. I hope you enjoyed today's class. If you do not enjoy it, you can drink some Zobo on top so I can be sweet. See you guys next week. Bye for now. My captains can stay behind.
I think so. Good night, Sam.